right, so we give praise and esteem and honor to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We're going to pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life, and I receive not honor from men. But I know you, to have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise the Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Shalom, Mika. Come over here to Ecclesiastes 7. Shalom, brother. We're going to have a deviation. Amen. Lord willing, we'll return back to grace being poured in your lips. This might be a one-day deviation. Also, Shalom, what's happening with you, Tavon? Also, to give some of y'all the opportunity to review some of the documents I sent before. We go through them and dissect them. We're going to go through them, dissect them just from the, not a strict apologetics side of the game, but just to introduce some of y'all what that means. A lot of the debating, fussing and fighting that you see is from individuals who call themselves apologists. An apologist is somebody who just defends a particular religious doctrine or train of thought. But these individuals was arguing the other day about eating swine, or can you eat swine, or can't you eat swine? You know what I'm saying? Descending, matter of fact, come over here to Romans 10, because it descended from this. Let me show you where this conversation descended from before we even get to Ecclesiastes 7. And I think we've touched on it before, but we ain't ever went into it in depth. But praise be to the Lord. Today is that day. Romans 10 and 1. Good night. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for Yasharal is that they all might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of Elohim, but not according to knowledge. So pause. Let's look at that and what that means. And I ask y'all this question. How many of y'all have heard people say you or someone in general, whether it was aimed directly towards you, or if you just heard the term you're being over righteous used, let that be known at this present time. Zeal, of course, is dezelos, excitement of mind, ardor, fervor of spirit, peace, brother Joseph, man. Ardor in embracing, pursuing, or defending anything. Zeal in behalf, fierceness of indignation, envious, contentious rivalry. So in this instance, this is an excitement of mind. You say you heard it listening to One West teachings? Very well, young lady. You say you heard it before, Tavon? Yes, sir. So when you see this as zeal, that the people are very excited, but they're not according to knowledge. So pause. Come to Isaiah 53 and 11 on general principle. See, we also had a conversation with a nigga who don't believe in the Lord Saturday evening. And one thing I'm going to tell you, especially when you're dealing with people who don't believe in Mashiach, one of the things that they don't like to do is focus on what it is that they believe or what they don't believe or whatever the case may be. Now, that wasn't the case while we're looking at Romans 10. What you see happening with this Romans 10 is a lot of, and I told these people this, and I'll read you another verse that an old dude, boy, he almost got cussed out. He don't know how close he was from getting cussed out because he was being condescendingly disrespectful. See, I'm going to tell you something, especially with dudes who don't believe in Mashiach. See, they like to run to that verse, oh, you know, turn the other cheek, this, that, and the third, which that's, of course, with somebody being your enemy. Right? That's somebody who really done did something to you, which, of course, is all that's in Proverbs 25 when they tell you if your enemy be hungry, give him something to drink. Give him milk to drink. You know what I'm saying? If he's hungry, give him something to eat. And doing so, your heat coals of fire on his head. Or the fact that you slow to wrath because you exhibiting the character of Yahuwah in Exodus 34 and 6 and 7 by being long-suffering. But see, these niggas don't know they God like that. Shalom, Brother Margaret. For real. One thing I can tell you about a majority of people who don't believe in Mashiach or like to rail or speak against Paul, slow here, man, speak against Paul's letters is they don't really know the word like that. And when you push them and when you press them, it will be exposed. Because most of the time, all they want to do is rant and rave how Yahushua, Yeshua, Jesus isn't the anointed one in the text. That's all they want to focus on. And they want to tell you how that's not him here. That's not, because they probably used to engaging with people who going to argue with them about it. And versus, I showed you, this is what I stand on. You can receive it or you don't. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that you have to understand with is if you want to even delve into the apologist or apologetic sector is, this is because we were talking about this, and this is kind of what we were talking about the other day about contending with the faith for the faith. When you do that, yeah, you want to persuade men, as Paul said, so they can be delivered from death. But the objective is not to beat them across the head for them to agree with you. If you are fully persuaded in what it is that you believe and what it is that you stand on, then you can consciously, succinctly, specifically, directly, in-depthly speak on what it is that you believe and be able to defend it. If they agree with it, who cares? The objective is not for you to be able to cause them to agree. It's the capability and ability that you understand fully, in totality, in-depthly, not surface level, not general statements, but I'm talking about specifically, and I'm talking about skillfully. I'm talking about cunningly, able to quickly be able to communicate what it is that you stand on when it's needed to, and also having the wisdom to know when not to cast your pearls before swine. You know what I'm talking about? And winning, no, I'm good. I'm not even finna delve into that with you because you are not worthy of even hearing of what I have to receive. You know what I'm saying? You have to have the skill when it comes to that. See, we were just reading something, right? And I hadn't read this book in a long time. And that's The Art of Seduction. You know, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Robert Greene's books, and that's their business. Most people say this stuff because most people are very one-dimensional thinkers. They don't really look at things from a totality level, man, from all angles. You understand? What do I mean by that? Most people will tell you, oh, it's a demonic book and all this type of stuff, whether it's that book, The Laws of Human Nature, The 48 Laws of Power, The 33 Strategies of War, all of these type of things. When you have to realize that all of these books are books written on the perspective of actual men who had power, actual men who have names in history for accomplishing certain things. You know what I'm saying? So one of the chapters that we looked at was the charismatic. And in that charismatic, they had certain archetypes. One of them archetypes was the demonic performer, which was Elvis Presley. And another archetype was the savior, which was Vladimir Lenin. I don't know if you know who Vladimir Lenin is. You can look him up. Another one was somebody who did it, and his name was Charles de Gaulle. And he was actually a general in the French army. Look him up. And then they had the deliverer. And you know who the deliverer was? Malcolm X. Y'all all know who that is. And they actually referred to Moses as a charismatic. Because this is looking at things from the perspective of people who seek to attack the word. See, you have to train your mind to look at things differently. Also on the fact that, let's just keep it a buck. The average person who read them books, they don't have the mental dexterity, discipline, focus, and foresight to even properly implement any of the strategies that's contained in that book. You know what I'm talking about? Just to keep it 100% honest with you. The average person doesn't have the mental capacity and discipline to do any of them things that are mentioned. You may do some of those things naturally, but you're not coming with strategy and foresight. See, the one thing it is, and we talk about this on numerous occasions, you have to understand power dynamics. And in power dynamics, you can understand where people are wielding power against you. It is an eclectic list of individuals. All of this man's books, Brother Marvin, man, are just literally historical references of real people who fit certain archetypes, laws, or strategies that he has contained in this book. It is just not some random cornucopia you would of a man espousing on what power looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, I've told you this plenty of times, literally and preach change, but don't reform too quickly. It tell you why people are literally celebrating December 25th to this day. You know what I'm saying? P.T. Barnum is contained in this man's book. Sun Tzu is contained in this man's books. Niccolo Machiavelli is contained in this man's books. These are books of people that the average nigga don't read. I have. You know what I'm talking about? So most people think, oh, if you in the, especially in the religious world, if you're in a particular position, are you going to use this stuff to wield this stuff against the people? See, the number one thing you're supposed to be paying attention to is the word and not the person. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I read The Prince in Prison, man. You know what I'm talking about? See, Niccolo Machiavelli was a real person who was actually in politics. See, most of the people who contain in these books, they're contained in politics, in the military. You know what I'm talking about? Things of this nature. Franklin Roosevelt is mentioned in the chapter for charismatics. Harry Truman. These are United States presidents. You've heard of Joan of Arc. She's mentioned. You know what I'm talking about? And her story is mentioned. You know what I'm talking about? So the Theosophical Society, which is something I read about when I was in prison, with Madame Blavatsky, some of the weirdest stuff you would ever want to see in your life. You know what I'm talking about? See, I don't advise anybody to venture out into reading and studying anything if you are not 100% solidified in what you believe. It'll take you and toss you to and fro like a piece of paper in the wind, man. You know what I'm talking about? That's why I say you don't get tossed to and fro with every wind of doctrine. See, that's what the apostles, prophets, pastors, evangelists, and teachers' job is to make sure that you're a perfect individual so that don't happen to you. See, because most people who are in the religious sector, they're considered to be charismatic to a certain extent. Most people, and one thing I've observed in human behavior in my entire life is most people will have a sense of wanting to belong or be a part of something. Which is why most dudes are Israelites now. You didn't come to the word because you wanted word. You wanted to be a part of something. Shalom, Jack. I literally just seen a live video of a woman who was talking about how her husband cheated on her with a prostitute, no less. You know what I'm talking about? That was just one woman. And the numerous other things. I'm not going to mention the congregation she was a part of and he was a part of, because that's unnecessary. You know what I'm talking about? But because I can't validate this information. I mean, that woman said it. That don't mean she was lying, but people corroborated what she said. So there's that. But an individual said, man, we don't need that right now. We're trying to bring people in to be in Israel, and we don't need this to be put out there. See, this is the thing to how you know that you didn't come into this for the word. You came in this to be a part of something. See, these are the things that most of y'all will look at, and you'll overlook the gravity of that statement. You say you start reading the sealed portion of the apocryphal. I can always miss that word. Book of Mormon, I don't have a found up. Oh, the Book of Mormon trash. You know what I'm saying? Book of Mormon ain't gonna throw you off. Shalom, Amish. Book of Mormon ain't gonna throw you. That book got trash. You know what I'm talking about? And I knew that before I even knew any word, man. Just because I know who wrote it and who he was. Joseph Smith wrote the Book of Mormon. Joseph Smith was a 33rd degree Freemason. You know what I'm talking about? Joseph Smith was killed because he sought to run for the office of United States president when he was explicitly told not to do it. You know what I'm talking about? I studied Mormonism for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Long before I even went up a road. That junk is trash. You know what I'm talking about? Absolutely and utter trash. They got to wear special drawers, all type of old weirdo stuff. You know what I'm saying? But the stuff is Masonic. You know what I'm saying? So when you have a background in what Masonry really is and the things that they do and how they elucidate on them things, Shalom, Brother Shaul, then you'll peep the play. And you'll be like, okay, I know what this is. These niggas wear special drawers, man. Like, nigga. He's brother one, man. And says a doctrine attacks to Hebrew. I could believe it. I say, man, look at, man, I studied, what you call that stuff, Scientology. We talking about, I studied Scientology, and man, we had all these books, and I still didn't know what they believed after I got finished. And I'm like, and niggas join this stuff? Yeah, Ellen G. White, I believe she was of the order also, if my memory serves me correctly. So as long as we have foundation on the word, reading and love, no, man, ain't nothing wrong with reading nothing. See, let me tell y'all something, man. Niggas only don't want y'all to read information because these niggas don't really believe what they believe. So they believe that your mind is as weak as theirs. You understand? Now I can tell you, before I got in the word, I studied every religion known to man. I was talking to my step about this the other day. I read the Sumerian stuff, man, before I graduated, before I got out of college. Man, I read that stuff when I was like 19, 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? From a multitude of different places. Read about all that stuff, man. You know what I'm talking about? Studied all the stuff about the Greeks, studied all type of stuff about the Rome. I'm talking about their religious practices in detail. You know what I'm talking about? Islam in detail. I'm talking about Nation of Islam, 5% Islam, mystical Islam, same with Christianity, same with Judaism. You know what I'm talking about? Studied Egyptian stuff from all the way down, all the way through the board. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm not going to tell you not to read nothing. You should be a well-rounded individual, just simply in the aspects of world history, if nothing less. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm gonna just tell you now, if you ain't really locked in on what you believe, you can get tossed to and fro. So you have to rationalize that in your own mind. You know what I'm talking about? It's not really my place to tell grown people what they can and can't do. I'm not in the business of that. You know what I'm saying? Never have and never will. I'm not gonna tell you what to read and what not to read. You're grown. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially not stuff that I've read myself. I'm gonna tell you, don't read that. Now, I would, if it was one book I would advise you to be leery of, it's definitely the Secret Teaching of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. I believe it's witchcraft and sorcery contained in that book, personally. When I seen Mephistopheles in that book, I told y'all about that before. I said, yeah, I gave that nigga his book back. I said, you get that back, bro. I want that. And I ain't know nothing about no word, but I seen that. I said, well, I know who that is. I couldn't remember where I heard it at. And I remember I heard Mephistopheles. I heard Wyclef saying in the song. And then it clicked in my mind who it was. I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, I got probably maybe a quarter, maybe a halfway through that book. I gave that nigga that book back. What's good, though? I said, yeah, you can keep that, bro. I don't want none of that. I don't want that. Look here, man. I grew up reading through Dr. York scrolls, man. Numerous. You know what I'm saying? But nigga, that didn't mean I wanted to be a part of the movement or want to adopt that as my lifestyle or a belief system because I read it. I'm just not that weak and that simple minded. You know what I'm talking about? I can look at information. I can discern what type of information it is. And if I can verify it, I can verify it. If I can't, I can't. But I also know a charlatan when I see one. I knew Dr. York was a charlatan before this nigga got locked up for touching on children. You know what I'm saying? These niggas get y'all because y'all want to be a part of something. You know what I'm saying? They use that to their advantage. Man, at the end of the day, most of the time, all these people do is use your lust against you. Who is Mephistopheles? A damn demon. I give you that. I read it. A damn demon. That's who he is. He was all jokes aside, he was a spirit who they would summon up. Give me 1 second. I'll find it for you. I forgot he was in the movie Ghost Rider. Okay. Mephistopheles, also known as Mephisto, a demon featured in German folklore, originally appeared in literature as the demon in the false legend and has since become a stock character appearing in other works of art and popular culture. The name Mephistopheles is a corrupted Greek compound. The Greek particle of negation and the Greek word of love or loving are the first and last terms of the compound, but the middle term is more doubtful. 3 possible meanings have been proposed and 3 different etymologies have been offered: not loving light, not loving Faust, and mephitic, pertaining to the poisonous vapors arising from pools, caverns, and springs. It is likely that the name was invented for the historical alchemist George Faust by the anonymous author of the first of Faustbach. And he is known for being a familiar spirit of the devil in late settings, and it's probable the name, and then it goes into the same type of stuff. We don't have to keep doing that there, but some people believe, depending on what school of thought you're a part of, and that you can summon him. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? But again, if you are not fully locked in on what you believe, I wouldn't advise you to read anything that is going to deter you. If you would not really like built your foundation on the Mashiach, I wouldn't advise it. You know what I'm saying? Me, myself, I read all this stuff before I got in the word. So therefore, once I got in the word, I knew the word was factual because I had already navigated through all. And this is why I sent y'all some of those documents about the Romans creating Yahusha and the Peso family allegedly writing the New Testament and sliding their deities in there. That's why I sent y'all that, for that literal explicit purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because I read all that stuff. I literally bought that book in prison. I spent my money on that. You know what I'm talking about? About the Peso family, the Piso family writing the New Testament. I bought that with my own bread, man. I'm talking about in the Florida prisons, you can't order a book out. You have to order it. Your people can't send you a book. You have to order it from the company who's selling it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to send the bread to somebody, my cousin specifically, and then she ordered it, and then I got it. You know what I'm talking about? So these are type of things like, that's why I sent y'all those things. I think I put that thing in there, but we wouldn't have time to go over that really. Them saying the aliens speaking on, this is from the United States government, by the way, on Jesus and God and angels and all this type of stuff. See, this is why I sent y'all this stuff, man. Not just to randomly see it. Like, you have to understand the depths and the means that these people are going to go to distort the word of Yahuwah, to draw people away from it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Just to make you aware. Like, I'm not an individual who believes that the Bible is the only book you can read and that's it. I'm not. Never have been. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm talking about? To be wise as a serpent, you got to know how the serpent move. That's why I tell y'all about, that's why you look into Art of Seduction, or 33 Strategies of War, or 48 Laws of Power, or the Laws of Human Nature. Because what Satan seeks to do is use your desire against you. He ain't got no power. So he's going to use you against you. So you have to be aware of the games that they're playing. This is why he told you to be wise as one, but harmless as a dove. You can be up on the game and not use it. It's just the reality is most wicked niggas going to use it because they want to lord over you and be benefactors. Oh, for sure, man. I know some Israelites tell y'all that. I'm a man of learning. I'm not against it. I'm not going to tell y'all, absolutely, Omar, never be ignorant of his devices. I'm not going to tell y'all to not read things. That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? It's not okay. See, if you get caught up reading Sumerian culture and now you want to follow Sumerian deities, that means you never believed in Yahuwah in the first place. If you got caught up on studying Philistine culture and now you want to be a Philistine and worship their gods, peace, you never believed in Yahuwah in the first place. Because that's what your forefathers did. You know what I'm saying? If you study Egyptian culture and now you want to call yourself Ron Akbentatin, you never believed in Yahuwah in the first place. So it wasn't the book that took you there. That's where your heart was anyway. You were just looking for a rhyme, reason, and excuse to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Y'all grown. Most of y'all been in the word too long to be scared of reading ancient literature. But that's just my opinion. Y'all can do what you want. And I ain't gonna say nothing to you if you don't want to read. Because it ain't nothing wrong with that. You say I put certain books down, put aside until I can get, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. He said, I've heard more in the churches not to read anything other than the Bible, especially with Jehovah's Witnesses. But Omar said, you got to know the measure of your faith. Yeah, man, I mean, I told y'all a long time ago, said it plenty of times, the devil know his lie good. So you better know your truth even better. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother conversation. Isaiah 53 and 11. You know what I'm saying? But of course, Emma just sent me a book on social engineering. See, these are the things that I look into because human nature is wild. And like I told y'all before, whether it's with romance, whether it's your outlook on money, whether it's your outlook on traditional or non-traditional, and all these type of things, you've been socially engineered for majority of the things that you hold and believe. You know what I'm saying? And once you come out of that fog of social engineering, then it should allow you to have a little bit more compassion on people who don't know that they've been socially engineered. They don't know they're under the deception of Satan. They don't really understand those things. Being under the deception of Satan is past talking about, oh, they changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than that. If you thinking like that, oh, Satan gonna get you, your brain too simple. You say people move at a different pace as far as the strength of their. Absolutely. And that's why I say you have to judge that within yourself. Like, you can ask my opinion, but at the end of the day, y'all are grown. So you have to be able to determine, hey, if my conscience ain't that strong to read X, Y, Z, then don't read it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to feel compelled to read something just because, if you know that you're not at that point where you could do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm at a point, like I said, I read all this stuff before I was in the Word, so I could read whatever. That junk ain't gonna matter to me. I can sit in a room full of people who don't believe nothing out the Word, and that junk ain't gonna sway me nan tap. Because I know that they just talking. They're espousing on things that they don't really know, because the average person don't even know what's in this book to even speak against it, for that matter. You know what I'm saying? They're usually speaking against organized Western Christianity more so than what's actually contained in the Word. You say the fact that you read it and at this point, oh no, that's all praise to you. But also, I was never seeking I wasn't seeking to be a part of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like my big cousin, y'all have mercy on his soul, he was a 5%. I didn't want to be a part of it, but I wanted to know their information. I wanted to understand their point of view. I never wanted to be, I studied Nation of Islam. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to be a Nuwabian. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I read all Dr. York scrolls. I didn't want to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't sitting around teaching it to people. You know what I'm saying? I studied a lot of stuff about African spirituality and all that stuff. I ain't want to actually do it. See, people get caught up because you want to be a part of something. You know what I'm saying? Or you want to latch on to something to say you believe in something. You know what I'm saying? Versus actually understanding and knowing the cultures of antiquity, where these customs came from, where these people hold these beliefs, where these myth stories come from. Like, I read a book, we were talking about this yesterday, read a book how it showed you that they want you to believe that ancient civilizations were primitive and they didn't have any advanced technology, when these people had indoor plumbing and a multitude of things. This information ain't hard to find. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Daddy. Do you play ring?
Hold on. I'm trying to understand what you're asking. Give me 1 second, Darius. You know what I'm saying? That's all. Yeah, I ain't ever want to be a part of none of that stuff. I just want to know what was what. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Sister Kelly. That's why when the word came, I knew it was the word of God, and it wasn't some old nigga trying to hit me with some doctrine or nothing like that. But your nigga ain't really hit me with no doctrine. You know what I'm saying? But that's another conversation for another day. You know what I'm talking about? But that's what that was, man. Because I read the scriptures at that time too. I didn't read them on a regular basis because I didn't understand what I was reading. So I felt like, what was the point? You know what I'm saying? I got my first Quran when I was 16. My 11th grade teacher gave it to me. Well, my 10th grade teacher gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? I read all type of things, man. On a myriad and a multitude of things. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, I wasn't no different than none of y'all, man. I was outside smoking weed. You know what I'm talking about? And then ended up selling crack. And then went to prison. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was taking this information. I'm this great man. I just wanted to learn. I just like to read, man. I like to learn stuff, man. I want to understand the world around me, if you would. Because I really had a desire to not read nonfiction. That pretty much ended at 7 years old. I didn't want to read to be entertained. That died young. Like, if I want to be entertained, that's what television is for. I don't read to be entertained. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I read to learn. So if I'm reading something and I can't learn nothing from it, why am I reading it? Isaiah 53:11. He shall see the travail of his soul and shall be satisfied by his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear his iniquities. You know what I'm saying? For sure. I understand. I understand that, man. Shoot, for sure. Now, I came here because he said they have a zeal for the word, but not according to knowledge. And we're reading about how the knowledge of his righteous servant would justify many. But just to add one more caveat, Old Testament style, Psalms 40. Oh, that's Job 40. I'm sorry. $40 and $5. Make it full. Baruch is the man that make Yahuwah his trust, and respect not the proud, nor as such as turn aside the lies. Many, O Yahuwah my Elohim, your wonderful works you have done, your thoughts to us were, they cannot be reckoned in order unto you. If I would declare and speak, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering you did not desire, my eyes have you opened, my ears, have you opened, burnt offering and sin offering you have not required. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. I delight to do your will, O my Elohim. Yea, your law is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. I have not refrained my lips, O Yahuwah. You know. Now, again, I'm mentioning that because he said he preached righteousness. The wonderful works that he's done, they can't be numbered, and that he comes in the volume of the book. And of course, the knowledge of his righteous servant for justify many. The point of mentioning that is the knowledge of the Son of God. But he said, go back to Romans 10, as Paul is mentioning here, they have a zeal for God, but it's not according to knowledge. So you have a fervent spirit, you have an excitement for the word, but it is not according to the knowledge of God, which is a lot of people's biggest problem. The biggest problem that you see that when you come into this particular discipline is you find out you're an Israelite and you're so excited about this new information, but you don't have the knowledge of God and you running up on people about it. That's why he says, for being ignorant of, this is verse 3 of Romans 10, by the way. For they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness, going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Elohim. So for those who don't understand what that means, we're going to go look at Deuteronomy 6 and 25, and we're going to go to Genesis 15 and 6, so you can see exactly what that means. Establishing your own righteousness is not you doing what is right in your own eyes. Again, this goes back to the conversation we had of the difference between the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life. The tree of knowledge and good and evil is your own righteousness. The tree of life is God's righteousness, Elohim's righteousness, the Almighty's righteousness. There is a delineation between the two. Unfortunately, because many brothers and sisters don't really understand what the tree of knowledge of good and evil is, that's why you have a mass confusion in general of what's being espoused there and why there be so much contention. But obviously, just using simple common sense, it's the tree of knowledge and good and evil. That's literally what the law is. It is the knowledge of good and evil. It's not that complex. But you know why? I see, man, my man Bleedo told them niggas this today. I forgot what they were talking. I think they were talking about it. How can Jesus be God if he has a God? That's the conversation they was having. And he was like, y'all make the simple things complex. So when you look at what, Shalom 10K, when you look at what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 11, do not be deceived as Eve and be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Hamashiach. The word is simple. You know what I'm saying? It is deep as forth as it has layers of understanding, but it's conveyed in its simplicity. And one thing that I've learned about human nature in the mind, and we've talked about this plenty of times using Naaman the Syrian as a case example, is that human beings, especially dealing with God, they don't want the simplicity. They want something great. They want something mythical. They want some type of miracle. They want something like that. This is why the charlatans, the false prophets, the fakes, and the phonies are able to deceive us. Because you're looking for this great, wonderful, magnificent thing when the beauty of Yahuwah is captured in his simplicity. You know what I'm saying? But you think it's God, so it has to be something great. in order to prove that it's him. You know what I'm saying? Like D sent me that at the store the other day. I seen it, but when she sung, I had seen it when it happened. I've seen it before, and I think we might have talked about it before, but my memory bad, so forgive me. But like when it showed the reverse storm surge in Tampa, how the hurricane came and sucked all the water out of the bay, and it was dry land. You know what I'm saying? See, something like that, when you sit back and look at it, because if you go back in Exodus 14, it tells you that he stirred a wind to cause those waters to rise up, to part the Red Sea for you to walk over. And you know that the book say that Yahuwah make his way in the whirlwind. You know what I'm talking about? So it's something that's looking at something as simple as that, to seeing that's how he did that. Now, yeah, he has great power to do all type of fantastic things, but the beauty of seeing his greatness, his righteousness, and the proof that he is Elohim is contained in his simplicity. Because he don't have to do all that to prove to you that he is Elohim. See, people who want to prove to you that they of God, or they're a prophet, this, that, they're in the third, they need to have something extra great, extra magnificent in order to convince you. Because they understand the way that the mind works. They know how most humans are. You want something like that, that's how the beast gonna get everybody. Because you're gonna forget about the simplicity. Let me read that verse of Exodus 14 that I'm referring to real quick.
Okay.
Right here in Exodus 14 to 16. We'll make it 21. Say Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahuwah caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. Literally say that this wind went over the water all night. Now, don't you know he really could have just said, waters, go back, and they would have went back. But he literally took a wind all night to push the waters back. All night. And you can literally see that in a hurricane, and you wondering how he going to do that, and you can see it. But you want it to be something else, because that's what I know is God. That's how the beast going to get you. That's how he going to get you, because you're looking for something great. You know why a lot of men and women get deceived by the people they dealing with? Because they're looking for something great. The people who move in the simplicity of it is that who they are, they're not appealing. Because you want the imagery, the pageantry, the pomp and circumstance, if you would. He said that's why in sports dynasties like the Patriots and the Spurs, they were simple. They weren't as flashy as the simplicity, the fundamentals. Deuteronomy 6 and 25. I've been told you that. People don't like fundamentals because they're boring. You like the flash. You know what I'm saying? That's what people like. But one thing about the flash, it don't last that long. You know what I'm saying? Fundamentals lead to consistency, and consistency, it breeds over a long period of time. Because one thing you can't fake is consistency. Yeah, that's right. As simple as science being for non-believers. Because a believer shouldn't need all that. Remember what Naaman said, man, I was looking for some great thing. He said, man, you want to be washed or what? If I just told you to dip yourself in the Jordan River 7 times, man, why is that such a hard thing for you to do? Because if I'd have told you to do backflips and do this and do that, you would have did it. I just told you go take a bath. That ain't enough. He say facts. Andre Waters, a great example. Not much flash, but a strong foundation in the basics. I mean, shoot, that's the same with Floyd Mayweather. And that's why people call this fight boring. You know what I'm talking about? Because he was fundamentally sound. You don't like fundamentals. You can't see the beauty in it. See, those who love the sweet science, they can see the beauty in Floyd Mayweather's ability. You know what I'm talking about? They can see it. It's a beautiful thing to behold. To those who just want to see the flash, pomp, and circumstance of violence, then he turns you off. Man, this fight's boring, man. He just be ducking and dodging. Well, the name of the game is to hit and not get hit. That is literally what boxing is about. You don't want to see boxing. You want to see blood sport. You want to see someone get physically assaulted. So you shouldn't be mad at boxing. You should sit back and ask yourself, why does watching someone be physically accosted, assaulted, and bludgeoned bring you pleasure? See, we're not talking about like watching a horror movie. You know what I'm talking about? And no, it's not real. Because people used to trip on me because I watch horror movies and be dying laughing because it's not real. No one was injured in the course of this. But I ain't never been one to look at no UFC fight or no boxing and be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, bro, this man could have died in here today. Maybe this man really just got his whole brains rocked. You know what I'm talking about? That's different, man. But that's a whole nother conversation. Come on, man. Deuteronomy 6, 22. Yahuwah showed signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in and give us this land which he swore unto our fathers. Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our Elohim for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our Elohim, as he have commanded us. So he's telling you right here, plain as day, that if you keep this law, that is your righteousness. You understand? But that's not God's righteousness. How do we know this? Genesis 15 and 6. This is stuff that most of y'all already know. But we got to lay the foundation for the case that we're about to make. We have a twofold thing to look at, as it means on be not over righteous, over much. What does that mean? Genesis 15 and 6. I'll make it 4. And behold, the word of Yahuwah unto him, saying, this shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward Shamahim and tell the stars if you be able to number them. And he said unto them, so shall your seed be. And he believed in Yahuwah, and he counted it to him for righteousness. See, belief in Yahuwah is God's righteousness. Keeping the law is your righteousness. But that don't make you just with Elohim. And y'all know that because you can do that which is right before Elohim, but not with a perfect heart. But we didn't come to go through that this evening. Romans 10 again, verse 3. And this is where the contention came in at, is this particular verse, verse 4 actually. I'll read 3 again. For they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness, and of course they would be ignorant of Elohim's righteousness, because remember Moses came with the law, but Yahushua came with grace and truth. Moses didn't come and bring faith to these people. That's not what he brought them. Not that faith was devoid at that particular time, but that's not what he taught them. He did not go up on the mount and come back with Amunah, Amath, and Aman. He went up on the mount and came back with the 2 tables of stone. Instructions written on one side and the other side by the finger of Elohim. That's what he brought. That's obvious. That's plain. Also, in another angle of it, you'll look at those who of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil are effectively what we read in John 9 last week. You Moses' disciple. You're his student. You're his Taladim. And then some people are Yahushua's disciple, his Taladim, his disciple, because he taught them. Yahushua taught you faith. Remember, the law and the prophets was until John. Now the kingdom of heaven is preached. Every man is pressed into it. He came with a different instruction. You understand? He didn't come with the instruction that other people came with. He came and brought it all together to make it plain, like we read in Proverbs chapter 8. So when you hear this here, right, and going about to establish their own righteousness, they have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Elohim. They have not believed. Most of us who dealing with the word don't have the faith of Abraham, because Abraham moved on the word, and Abraham believed on the word, knowing that his wife's womb was dead, and never doubted Elohim in the least bit. And when Elohim asked him to sacrifice his own son, he know that Yahuwah is not a liar. So he know if he would have sacrificed his son, Yahuwah would have rose him from the dead. That is the level and trust that he had in what this man promised him. This is something that the average Israelite don't pay attention to. You don't have to go in the New Testament to look at that. When that man say, if you were Abraham's seed, you would do the works of Abraham. When you pay attention to look at the works of Abraham, they're laced. They are filled. with Amunah, Amath, and Aman towards what this man promised him. He was unwavering in any of that. He did, like as Paul wrote in Romans 4, he did not stumble at the promise of God with unbelief. He did not doubt this man in the least bit that what he was able to perform, that he would perform, because we know that Yahuwah speaks those things that aren't as if they are. And most of us don't have that level of faith. You don't even understand what that looked like. You know what I'm talking about? And the average person who teach the word does not espouse that to the people. You know what I'm saying? And you know why? Because most of us have been dealing with human beings who have let you down. So therefore, your trust and reliability in a word is severely hampered. You know what I'm saying? Now, every one of us more than likely had a friend or a family member that if you know they said something, you counted that as done as soon as the word left their lips. You dig? That's right, Eric. Amen. You say when you say that, don't have no Amunah, Aman, is that the no, those are the Hebrew words for faith. Amunah, Aman, and Amath. And it all depends on which word is used and when you see truth or believe, I should say. You know what I'm saying? But they all mean the same thing: steadfastness, faithfulness, reliability, truth, and surety. And then you have two things that pertain to hope, which is batak and tikvah. And both of them mean hope and expectation of reward. So most of us don't have batak, and most of us don't have a tikvah, and your hope or expectation of reward is rooted in the amath, aman, or amuna that you have in the word of Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's Elohim's righteousness. That's why faith is God's righteousness. Because that means you believe that he is not a liar, and what he has said to you, he will do and he will accomplish. Which is why Numbers 23:19 says, Elohim was not a man that he should lie, nor the son of a man that he should repent. If he said it, shall he not do it? And if I'm not mistaken, in 1 Samuel 15, it says the strength of Yasharal don't lie. You know what I'm talking about? That's why Deuteronomy 6 that's why it says when Abraham believed Yahuwah, that was counted to him as righteousness. Let me see what word was used there for believe in that particular passage right there, man. I want to say it was a moon. It was a man that was used there to support, to confirm, to be faithful, to be established, to be faithful, to make firm, to trust, to believe in, to trust, to believe. See, because he trusted in Yahuwah and he believed in Yahuwah, he was righteous in Yahuwah's eyesight. There was no law there. There was no law that had that declaration for him. Deuteronomy 6:25, so you keep the law, that's your righteousness. But that's not the righteousness of God. And that's in the law. We don't have to go in the New Testament to see that. This is what I mean when I tell dudes, okay, you say you Paul. Bro, you supposed to know where this man get this stuff from Genesis to Malachi before you start talking about what this man wrote. But these dudes don't know what this man wrote because they don't know the law like that. So somebody who come in talking about what this man wrote in these letters, like when I told the dude yesterday, you coming at me sideways, and I'm like, buddy, you do know that he wrote these letters to congregations that he taught them the law and the testimony of Yahushua. So he's writing them based off things that he instructed them. These are not just random letters that he's writing for the sake of writing. He's writing people he taught. You know what I'm saying? But the people who are reading these letters now, they're not learned. They don't know Genesis to Malachi like that. So they don't know what this man is talking about. So when they read these letters and they look at what the Christians are doing X, Y, Z, I don't care with somebody who's reading something who's intent on doing what they want to do. Of course they're going to read it and interpret it how they want. Because their aim is to do what it is that they want to do. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to understand what this man is conveying, knowing what he is writing, why he's writing it, who he's writing it to, and where he got it from. You understand? So when you see him in Romans 3 or you see this here in Romans 10, these are things that should easily be found in the law and the prophets by people who say they believe in God. But most of these niggas don't know no word like that, man. They don't. And they don't know it because they don't have a desire to learn who Yahuwah is. As he says in in Isaiah chapter 40, there is no searching of his understanding. The people not seeking his face. You're seeking doctrines. You're seeking precepts to be able to fight and battle and win an argument. You are not seeking the face of your Elohim. Therefore, you don't know him. Therefore, you cannot yada or experience him because you're not seeking to experience him. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. And that's the purpose. Like we were talking about the other day, now that you mentioned that word for understanding, right? You have people just be like, just read the verses and let the people decide. Yahuwah ain't never said that. Because if you teaching the word, as it says in Nehemiah, you're supposed to cause the people to understand the reading. These dudes are not causing us to understand what we're reading. That's not just a statement in Book of Acts. Understand what y'all read it. How can I accept some man guide me? That's in the Tanakh. That's where it's at. Come over here, let me show it to you. Come over here to the book of Nehemiah, man, chapter 8. This is why I be so adamant about making sure that you young men understand what it is that you're reading. Not for no other reason than you need to know what you're looking at. You need to be able to thoroughly go through that. That's not for me. That's for you. That's for your wife. That's for your children. That's whoever may have you come across. You need to make sure that you have a grasp of the subject matter of that which you speak. We're not here to win arguments. We're not here to win debates. We're not apologists. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, man, you have to, do you understand what you're looking at? Can you answer questions on what it is that you espouse to know 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 layers deep? Or is it that you can only give antiseptic and general answers? Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 1. Absolutely. Absolutely, Mika. All the people gathered together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which Yahuwah commanded to Yasharal. And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation, both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding upon the first day of the 7th month. And he read therein before the street that was before the water gate, from the morning unto the midday before the men and women, and those that could understand. And the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law. And Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they had made for this purpose. And beside him stood Mattithiah, Shema, Ananiah, Uriah, Hilkiah, Maaseiah, on the right hand, and on his left hand, Pedaiah, Mishael, Malchiah, Hashum, Hashbaddanah, Zechariah, and Meshullam. And Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened the book, all the people stood up. And Ezra Baruch Yahuwah the great Elohim, and all the people answered, Amen, Amen, with the lifting up of their hands, and they bowed their heads in worship. Yahuwah with their faces to the ground. Yeshua, Bani, Shariah, Jamin, Akub, Shabbatai, Hodiah, Messiah, Kalida, Azariah, Jehozabad, Hanan, Peliah, and the Levites caused the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. So they read in the book of the law of Elohim distinctly and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. If you say that you're going to dispense the word of Elohim to people, then you need to be able to do it distinctly, to give the sense, and for them to understand. What is distinctly? That is parash. That is to make distinct, to declare, to distinguish, to separate, to clarify, to be distinctly declared. What is it to give sense? That is sequel, prudence, insight, understanding, good sense. Also wisdom, understanding also. And then, of course, understanding here is B'nai, which is to discern, to understand, to consider, to have discernment, to have insight, to have understanding, to give intelligence, to give understanding. See, that thought process that most Israelites have, just read it down, and that's going to give you some understanding, that go against what the book say. He say, if you teaching that word, You're supposed to be able to give understanding on what you taught these people. How can you teach somebody something and you don't give them understanding? That means you don't understand it. That's the problem. And then we make these excuses. I ain't nobody teacher. Then what you talking for? You know, man, you don't say, man, look here, man, if you're going to open your mouth and instruct, then you got to take the responsibility that come with that. And that responsibility is to make sure that the hearer, that the student, that the learner understands completely, distinctly, clearly, and plainly what it is that you're trying to espouse to them. And not to be able to communicate that in the way that you want to communicate it, but communicate it in a way that they can understand it, because that is effective instruction. You don't teach people how you want to teach them and say, nigga, figure it out. You teach them to make sure they understand it. Because if you teaching and you don't care that the people understand what you're teaching, you need to shut your mouth. Because you're terrible. You're not good at your job. That's what Paul meant when he said, I become all things to all people. That's not compromising. You know what I'm talking about? That's me relating and communicating with you in a way that you can understand. That's why he say, he that wins souls is wise. He got skill. That's all that means. That's all that means. If they knew the word, they would know why he said it, but they don't. They thinking he's just saying something. He's espousing the wisdom of the word, but niggas don't know the word to pick up the nuance, to know the game that he's spitting, because he's spitting what they already told you, because he actually took it and encapsulated it and lived it. These niggas don't take the word and live it. That's why they can't see, oh yeah, that's why he did that. Oh, boom, boom. Because you know how you can identify that? Because you live in it. So you can peep the skill, you can peep the game. It's no different than anything any of you've ever done in your life that you've been adept and skilled at. You've seen the information, you picked it up. So when you ran across somebody else who was in the same field as you, you understood why they was doing it. Oh, you learned something? Yeah, I learned that too. Yeah, that's all it is, man. The word is not hard, man. It's not. It's really not. We're just dealing with too many people who don't know what they're talking about. Romans 10:4. I hear that a lot, specifically on popular Israelite channels sometimes. So I start watching because of this here. Oh, shoot, praise you. I praise you, man. He said, for Hamashiach is the end of the law. End of the law of righteousness to everyone that believes. So when people hear that, I guess, Christian doctrine is, oh, that's the end of the law. That is not what this, of course, if you read it in English and you take end, of course, that's what you're going to come up with. That Greek word is telos, it's end or the termination, the limit of things which things cease, the last in succession, that by which a thing is finished, or to the end of which all things relate, the aim or the purpose. So, no, it means that he's the purpose of the law, if you would. And now that righteousness that we read in Genesis 15:6, that's the dominant righteousness versus the righteousness in Deuteronomy 6:25. And he's about to explain that. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm just going to reference places that this man is quoting. Shalom. He say for Moses, Romans 10:5. For Moses described the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which does those things shall live by them. You can read that in Leviticus 18, and you can read that in Nehemiah chapter 9. Now he's directly quoting Leviticus 18, verse 5 to be specific. But the righteousness which is of faith speak on this wise. Say not in your heart, who shall ascend into Shamayim, and that is to bring Hamashiach down, or who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring Hamashiach again from the dead. But what say it? The word that is near in your mouth and in your heart, that is the word of faith which we preach. He's literally quoting Deuteronomy 30. So again, you see another instance of the righteousness which is of the law in Leviticus 18, which is your righteousness, and then the righteousness which is of Elohim, or which is of faith, which is in Deuteronomy 30. You know what I'm saying? He pulled both of these statements out of the law. Dude's supposed to know this. on why he's making this comparison, because he pulled both of these things out of the law. He didn't make this up. He didn't pull this out his butthole. He's not speaking his own opinion. He's showing you the delineation and difference between two concepts, literally out of the law. That's where he got it from. Then when he goes down and he tell you, the man believe unto righteousness, and when the mouth confession is made unto salvation, that's going to take you back to Genesis 15 again. Then, how verse 15, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel. He's taking you to Isaiah 52. Then verse 16, he's taking you to Isaiah 53. All have not believed the report. Then faith come by hearing, hearing come by the word. Now he done took you to Job 42. Then he said, have they not heard? Truly their sound went into the whole earth, and their words into the end of the world. Now he done took you to Psalms 19. Then he said, but did Israel first? Moses said, I will provoke you to jealousy with them which are not a people. Now he done took you to Deuteronomy 32. But Isaiah is very bold, say, I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me. Now he done took you to Isaiah 65. But on Yasharal, he said, all the day long I've stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. Continuing in Isaiah 65. This entire Romans 10, the man quoting law and prophets to elucidate on this point of the difference, which is the righteousness of God and the righteousness which is of the law, and that the people rejected the righteousness of God because they didn't believe it, because they were trying to exert their own righteousness, which was through keeping the law versus believing in God. He literally quoted straight book. The whole chapter is straight book. These jackasses don't know it and arguing about it. Now, again, you'll see right this here, right? You'll read verse 15. He say, as it is written in Romans 10. Now, some people don't know what that's at. That's Isaiah 52 and 7. Then he said, but they have not all, then he said, they have not all obeyed the gospel, for Isaiah saith, Lord. So then when he tell you that, he's letting you know he's quoting Isaiah, and he's quoting Isaiah 53 and 1. Now, see, then faith come by hearing, hearing come by the word. You got to know the word. You got to swing over there to Job 42. He say, I've heard of you with the hearing of the ear, and now my eye see. Because we finna get to that. Because Job is the basis of this conversation that we have. And this might spill into tomorrow, Shabbat also. Yahuwah know. More than likely. Then again, like I just told you, he said, but I say, have they not heard? Yes, truly their sound. He didn't even tell you, I'm referring to Psalms 19. Then he said, first Moses say. So then he let you know he's speaking to Moses. He referring to Deuteronomy again. Then he tell you Isaiah said, like, do see this stuff, but do they know the word well enough to understand what he's conveying? A majority of the time, the answer is no. But all of these things came out of the law. All of these things came out of the prophets. And again, he's writing a Roman assembly who he taught. Because clearly they're writing him about questions and issues that they're having. But you know why that's hard for people to understand? Because you have an extreme level of disdain for masculine authority and instruction. So it couldn't even prop into your mind that these people would holler at the person who taught them to make sure that they understood what it is that he taught, because they were more concerned with getting it right. And or this man dealing with whatever issues arise, because contrary to popular belief, just because you in the word don't mean that people not going to be in it wilding. But nevertheless, let's get to tonight's main event. Ecclesiastes 7 and 15. You know what? Back it up to 8. Ecclesiastes 7 and 8. Let Yahuwah be his team. Yeah, more than likely we'll spill this over into tomorrow, because everybody talks about being over right. See, they think being over righteous is not. Most people who say somebody being over righteous, that person usually is a hypocrite. And I say hypocrite, I mean kanaf. They're not faithful. They're usually rendering a multitude of judgments on things that they're not doing themselves. Or you may not be doing that, but you're doing 3 other things that don't nobody know. And then you think because you talking about, an example. And again, this is not me condoning any of these things. Some dudes are just go on a whole brigade if a dude got on Nikes because they don't wear them. Like, we don't wear Nikes. I'm not finna go off on you because you got some on. I give you the information. You could do with it what you will. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like these wicked niggas with these Nikes on, but I'm calling you all that there. But when ain't nobody looking, I'm around here beating my meat. Or I'm around here sleeping with 3-4 women. I'm around here stealing. I got idols in my heart, but I don't wear Nikes though. You know what I'm saying? That's not somebody who's over righteous. That's a hypocrite. You know what I'm talking about? The same way that get away from me, I'm holier than thou is misapplied because that's dealing with a hypocrite. That's somebody who's saying, hey man, like what's in Luke 18 with the publican. You know what I'm saying? And the scribe. I'm glad I'm not as this publican. I do this here and I do this here. I don't do this and I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what he literally says. Oh, you get away from me. I'm holier than thou. But he said you worshiping idols and you doing this and you doing that. Like people take these things, man. You don't really sit down and examine the text and actually see what he's talking about. You just repeat these sayings. Somebody who's standing for godliness is not holier than thou. Do you know what I'm saying? He's only holier than thou when he's telling you don't come near me because I don't sin like you sin. That's evil as hell. Let me read it to you. Let me make sure before. I don't want to mention something y'all don't know. Some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Come over here to Isaiah 65:1, which is literally what was the back end of Romans 10, by the way. Isaiah 65:1. I sought of them that asked not for me. I'm found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. He's telling you how these Gentiles would believe on him, but you don't. He said, these people come looking for him, and he ain't even asked for them. He said, I spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walk in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice in gardens and burn incense upon the altars of brick, which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh, and a broth of abominable things is in their vessels, which say, stand by yourself, come not near to me, for I'm holier than you. These are smoke in my nose, a fire that burn all the day. He say, boy, a nigga like that, he said, it make his blood boil, make him angry, kindle a fire in the lowest hell that cannot be quenched. You understand me? You telling people, don't come near me. I'm better than you. And you around here with a broth of abominable things in your vessels, hanging out around dead people, worshiping idol gods, eating all manner of unclean things in your body, man. And you got the nerve to tell somebody don't come to you. You proud, hypocritical, no good, dirty-faced bastard Jew. The unmitigated God. How dare you? You know what I'm talking about? Like, that's what that means, man. That doesn't mean you standing for righteousness, he holier than thou. No, nigga, I'm just not participating in what you participating in. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to participate in that. I don't have to participate or act like I'm doing something to make you feel better about what it is that you doing. You understand? Same way when dude talking about you the one saying you're perfect, but don't you know perfect means to have integrity, boy? I tell you that a million times, man. Man, if somebody tell you, man, you ain't perfect, you need to look him in the face. So you mean to tell me that you lack integrity, brother? What's integrity by definition in English, by the way? You, as a man, you should be offended if somebody tell you lack integrity. You should not be comfortable as a man saying that somebody is easily ready to say that. This is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles and moral uprightness that you refuse to change. Come on now. You refuse to change them. And then by definition, it's character, decency, goodness, honesty. These are literally the characteristics of Yahuwah. Is not he abundant in goodness and truth? If he's abundant in goodness and truth and you got goodness and honesty, guess what you got there? Then you got rightness. This man is righteous. And it's the state of being whole and undivided. Well, guess what the Lord told you? A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So are you either have integrity or you do. So when these niggas tell you they're not perfect, them niggas telling you they divided. I mean, he a double-minded man. He unstable in his ways, man. He ain't getting nothing from God, man. Why would you listen to a nigga who tell you I don't have integrity? You need to get perfect out of your brain and replace it with integrity, because that's one of the definitions of Tom and Tamaim. We done said it a million times, man. That's one of the definitions of it, to have integrity. You mean to tell me, nigga, you divided? You mean to tell me you'll compromise what's right? Come on, man. You mean to tell me that you'll tell people not to commit idolatry, but you commit adultery? That's what you mean to tell me? You mean to tell me you'll do whatever when ain't nobody looking? And I'm supposed to accept that? Oh, we all fall short, brother. No, there ain't no falling short. You a wicked bastard, cuz. Falling short is what we talked about if you get caught up in your weakness, man. I'm talking about genuine, real weakness of the flesh, man. I ain't talking about no willful sin, boy. You plotted that out. You planned that out. You knew what you were doing, boy. I'm talking about, boy, you had a moment of weakness. It happens, man. You flesh and blood. But you learn from it. You come back stronger, man. You strengthen yourselves in the faith. That's why he told you to watch and pray, baby. You know what I'm talking about? He told you watch and pray, man. That man told you that temptation real, man. He told you watch and pray lest you enter into temptation, lest you get tried. He said, because the ruach is willing, but the flesh is weak. The man trying to tell you what it is. He trying to let you know. That's right. That's right, Joseph. He trying to let you know what it is, man. But see, when dudes hear that, they think you better than them. When really they think you better than them. That's why he said, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. You don't have to walk around with this air like I'm better than you. Like when somebody say, you think you know everything. They think you know everything and they resent you for it because they know they don't know anything. You think you smart. No, you think I'm smart. Because if I don't carry myself in that arrogant fashion, then that's just a projection of the insecurities that you have with your own intelligence. You know what I'm saying? That's not my problem. That's a personal problem. And it's not my job to lower myself, as Joseph put up there, like Nehemiah said, and this, that, there, and the third. Now, don't get it twisted now. Because I just was talking to him about this here now. Don't get it twisted now. Sometimes you got to play dumb, depending on the situation and circumstance. You got to have wisdom and skill to know when to play dumb. See, Psalms 50 talk about that. Sometimes you got to know when to play dumb. Not be dumb, but play dumb. Not dumb it down, but play dumb. Let me read that Psalm 50 to you, man. You know what I'm saying? And then we come back to Ecclesiastes 7. Remember, this man told you to be wise as serpents, as harmless as doves. You have to know how to have the skill to maneuver around wicked people. Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked Elohim say, what have you to declare my statutes, that you should take my covenant in your mouth, seeing that you hate instruction and cast my words behind you? And when you saw a thief, then you consented with him, and have been partakers with adulterers. You give your mouth to evil and your tongue frame deceit. You sit and speak against your brother and slander your own mother's son. These things have you done, and I kept silence, that you thought that I was altogether such as one as yourself. But I will reprove you and set them in order before your eyes. See how he was moving? He didn't participate. He seen what you're doing. I ain't say nothing, so you thought I was just like you. But now I got to cut you. Now I got to cut you. And I'm not cutting you with no doctrine. I'm finna check you for that sucker wicked stuff you've been doing, evil bastard. But I had to play a particular thing, man. You know what I'm saying? Make you think that I was on a different type of time. It's them dudes who done came around here, man, and they thought I was like them. Nigga, I ain't like you, nigga. And I ain't saying nothing, man. I'm not on what you on, cuz. That's what you on. But you assume because you was on that, I had to be too. Nah, cuz, I don't use no word to get no coochie, cuz. That's what you do. I ain't on that. I ain't on that. Why would I do that? What's the point of doing that? Oh, you thought I was like you, that I was just going to talk it but live something else. You thought you could come over here and kiki with me. Nah, cuz I ain't on that. I ain't on none of that. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga, we real niggas over here, cuz. What's wrong with you? Most people don't like people who actually live what it is that they say they represent, because most people are not actually seeking to be reflective of what it is that they say they represent. They don't represent what they live. That is, I'm talking about, I ain't talking about just with no word, man. I'm talking about all the way around the board. Most people are living in a fantasy world, man. They're living in a delusion of their own creation. And that creation is usually rooted in their own lust. And all Satan does is use your own lust against you for you to destroy yourself. Satan ain't destroying you, you're destroying yourself. All he does is throw a mirror up to what it is that you desire because he know you desire it. And when you see it, it's tantalizing in your eyes. You know what I'm talking about? You go after it and you participate in your own destruction. So you got to be on top of your game, baby. You know what I'm saying? You got to tighten up on your, you're slacking on your macking, man, and you're limping on your pimping, man. You can't be moving like that. You know what I'm talking about? Ecclesiastes 7:8, man. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Yeah, he definitely. And the patient in spirit better than the proud in spirit. And that's what people don't realize, right? Because they look at, we in the old covenant, the new covenant. Come on, man. That man say better is the beginning of the end of a thing than the beginning. Dang, I forgot what you asked me. Saying you the best pastor in the world is being holier than that. 9 times out of 10, because you probably living different. Saying you the best pastor in the world is definitely a sign of pride and arrogance. Remember the book tell you, man, love, edify. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge, puff up. You know what I'm saying? And edify again is to build up. The love of God seeks to build the tabernacle of God, if you would. Let me see that question, man. Said if we had to continue to work, would that be like a requirement? Or would it behoove us to read the information strictly to know how? No. I sent you all that stuff, man. If you could get to it, you could get to it. If you don't get to it, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in that if you don't get to it before we start looking through it. And I ain't want to jump off to it because I know everybody got responsibilities and things they got to handle that you might not be able to immediately delve into those pieces of literature in a swift fashion. You know what I'm saying? But thankfully, Emma and Lord Marshman, they supply with a multitude of sources and books of all types that's rehashing certain things in my mind that I ain't looked at in a long time. So once my mind go to turning like that, it ain't no way that I'm gonna just keep it to myself and not shoot it to y'all and give you the opportunity to read it if you so desire and so choose to. You know what I'm talking about? So at least that when we start mentioning some of these things, you at least have a point of reference of why we talking about them. But like I said, those couple things about the validity of the New Testament and the things that these people wrote about that, you know what I'm saying? It's the mainly for you to be able to contend for the faith, if you would, a little bit, even though it's a little different. Because Paul them didn't contend with the faith with non-believers. They didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And what do I mean by that? Because obviously, if they're in the synagogues and contending with people who didn't believe in Mashiach, that they were. See, that's not what I'm talking about. And even with that, it was only contingent on if they didn't start blaspheming. I'm talking about people who don't believe in Yahuwah, period. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go around trying to prove the validity of Yahuwah to people who didn't want nothing to do with that. They were like, all right, cool, that's your business. We out. It's no big deal. You know what I'm saying? But when it came down to the witness, knowing that it was not in the earth, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they went into synagogues and temples and things of that sort. And yeah, they stood up for the testimony of Mashiach against people who didn't believe it, hoping that they might save some. See, they weren't going in there hoping to cut up their doctrine or to prove these, as we would call it now, non-Messianic or to knock only people wrong. It was more and so of let's present it, and if they accept it, fine, and if they reject it, then we're gonna walk away. That's all. Verse 9, Ecclesiastes 7. Be not hasty in your spirit to be angry, for anger rests in the bosom of fools. Say not you, what, that the former days were better than these, for you do not inquire wisely concerning this. Now listen, that verse right there, I got to highlight it, so I don't know if we went over this or not, because I can't remember when I highlighted this. You know what I'm saying? If you grab this Bible that I got on this table and you see something highlighted, that means that was something I was intending on preaching on, because something came to my mind at that particular time when I read it. Now, whether we got to it or not, y'all may remember, because I definitely don't. But listen, when this man say what the former days were better than these, look here. Just go read Luke chapter 5. And y'all willing, we'll swing back around the corner. Luke chapter 5 will give you some little insight into that right there. Luke 5 will actually give you insight to verse 8 and 10. And you could take 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and tap that on there too with it if you like. Ecclesiastes 7 and 11. Wisdom good with an inheritance, and by it there is profit to them that see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom give life to them that have it. Consider the work of Elohim, for who can make that straight which he made crooked? In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider. Elohim have also set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him. Always remember, he's saying the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider. Now, what it is that you need to be considering, that's going to be contingent on each individual. Never look at certain things and think that certain things will be a one-size-fit-all, if you would. He's just telling you that when you come into the day of distress or the day of evil, because that's what's used there as raw, bad or evil, or that which is unpleasant or giving pain or unhappiness or misery or adversity, injury, calamity, distress, which is more so of the definition used there. He wants you to consider, which is ra'ah, which is to perceive, to inspect, to consider. It's the same thing that when Mashiach came into distress in that day of adversity, he considered.
He's talking about trying faith.
Yeah. That's why he say, consider this, that the trying of your faith is more perfect than gold. Let's try it in the fire, if you would, how Peter put it. Let me go ahead. I just said it wrong. 1 Peter chapter 1. First Peter chapter 1, verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being more precious than of gold that perish, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and esteem at the appearing of Yahushua HaMashiach, whom having not seen you love, and whom thou now you see him not, yet believing you rejoice with joy unspeakable, full of esteem, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls. You know what I'm saying? So he letting you know, when you got times of prosperity, say be joyful. But when there's times of adversity and distress, he wants you to consider. Which is why he told you in the world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. Because he already told you that. He said, I don't pray that I deliver them from evil. Hold on, I said it wrong. John 16. I think it's John 17, what I want. John 17 and 15. I pray not that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. He says that's similar to 1 Peter when Peter says, don't be surprised. It is that some strange thing happened to you, because the same thing is happening to your brethren that are in the world. Definitely. And I get it. Listen, right? I understand. When you talk, you can come back to Ecclesiastes 7. When you go to talking about certain distresses and adversities in life, man, it can feel like that has got to be the most horrible, most terrible thing that anyone in the world could ever experience. You know, why me? Why I got to deal with all this other type of stuff? It's natural. You flesh and blood, you dust and ashes. You're a human being. You know what I'm saying? I get that. The issue come in when you dwell in it. And then you don't do what he just said in Ecclesiastes, and you consider. Because adversity, remember, he said, through great tribulation must you enter into the kingdom of heaven. So your perfection is made in your adversity. You know what I'm saying? And then also remember, he said, pain endure for a night, but joy come in the morning. So, the adversity won't last for too long. But at the end of the day, However long it lasts, will now your heart be hardened towards Yahuwah? You know what I'm saying? Will your faith falter because things don't necessarily go how you desire for it to go? You know what I'm saying? You have to look at all that, man, because this man already know. Remember, he say, man, he said, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? He said, I, Yahuwah, try the heart and try the reins. To give every man according to his work shall be. So a lot of the things that you encounter is for the proving of your heart. Like I said, you can't turn around and say Psalms 139, search me, O Yahuwah. And then he puts you in situations so you can be searched. What he say? Search me, O Elohim, and know my heart, and try me and know my thoughts, and see if wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. And it could just be, unpleasant things. Every time you see wicked don't necessarily mean you got to be sinful. It could just be something in your inner man that's not agreeable with Yahuwah. Because remember, Ra also means to be disagreeable. So everything ain't necessarily just you got some wickedness all in your heart. Some of you may have that. Most of you just might have ways that are just he don't agree with. So let me go ahead and show that to you so you can go and get that up out of there. And remember, if he's taking you through all that, it's because he wants you to be perfected. But he don't want you to be perfected. He don't take you through nothing. Remember, that's part of his instruction. He said you can't be a son if you're not chastised by him. Remember, chastisement is not necessarily beating, but it's discipline through the way of instruction. And no one teaches like Yahuwah. So he instructs in a different fashion than most people would instruct. Yahuwah's not the type to instruct you by beating on you and berating you and all that other stuff. That's not how he teach. He teach through actual life experiences so that you can learn by applied information. It don't seem like that at the time. Remember, he said no chastisement seemed joyous at the time, but grievous. But it yields the peaceable fruits of righteousness to all those who are exercised thereby. You know what I'm talking about? Now, Ecclesiastes 7:15. All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perish in his righteousness. There's a wicked man that prolong his life in his wickedness. Be not righteous over much, neither make yourself over wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Be not over much wicked, neither be you foolish. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you should take hold of this. Yea, also from this withdraw not your hand, for he that fear Elohim shall come forth of them all. Now, with reading those three verses, 16, 17, and 18, what do y'all derive from that? I'm going to read it again. Godmother, what's happening, baby? What's going on? Be not righteous over much, neither make yourself over wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Be not over much wicked, neither be you foolish. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you should take hold of this, yea, also from this withdraw not your hand. For he that fear Elohim shall come forth of them all. What do y'all derive from that? He said, I said that years ago in my zeal, and over the past 5 years, he did ever reveal to me what was really in my actions. We'll let Yahuwah be a stick. And you know what? And you know what? And you know what? And you know what? You will be right. Does anybody have any thoughts of what comes to your mind when you hear verses of Ecclesiastes 7, 16, 17, and 18? What does it to mean to be not over righteous by much? Now, of course, the first two be not is not. You got Zadok, Rabbah. You know what I'm saying? Become great, to become numerous, to multiply, to make enlarge, to multiply and to increase. How do you increase your righteousness, but it would destroy you? How does that happen? How is that even possible? Destroying yourself in this instance is Shamin, Shan, Meme, and Mean. To be desolate, to be appalled, to be stupefied, to be awestruck, to be appalled, to be desolate, causing horror, to devastate, to lay devastated, to cause one's own desolation, to be destitute. How could you be over righteous and it destroy you? What does that mean? So it sounds like being strong by living in the balance between life and death. Very well, good sir. Be humble, but don't be proud and overly righteous. I kind of see this like the Spirit's warning to Paul. Very well, good sir. Do not get caught up in your own hype. Very well, good sir. Anybody else before we at least lay this part down, Lord willing, we'll come back with this on the Sabbath. And then we'll make it just lay it down flat and make it plain. Well, as plain as we possibly Yahuwah allow us to do it. You know what I'm talking about? So I want you to come over here to Job chapter 9. Now, looking at this particular passage, verse 15 specifically, was it 16? Whatever verse it was, y'all know what verse it is. We're going to have to go through the book of Job a lot. And one thing you know when we go through the book of Job that must be done is you need to pay attention when Job is talking, and you need to be paying attention when his friends is talking. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, when they go on the book of Job, they don't pay attention to that. You need to pay attention to who's talking. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's important. But before we even read chapter 9, I want you to come over here and look how sour Job's friend is in chapter 8. I want you to look at verse 14 or 13. One thing I told you before, man, if something negative happened in somebody's life and the first thing you think about is they sinful and they wicked, you a wicked bastard. You a hell of a nigga. You know what I'm saying? You accuser of the brethren, just like the devil. What type of nigga is you, man? Especially if that's somebody that's your friend. How that come? How because you see adversity in somebody's life and that's the first thing come to your mind? Oh, I know they must have been sinning. You dirty faced bastard. You funky no good nigga. You know what I'm talking about? That's some nigga stuff right there, man. You know what I'm saying? Like what type of nigga you got to be for that to come to your mind, man? That means you was already hoping that this person would stumble into something because you wanted to have some means to accuse them, man. You got a hard problem, cuz. A real nigga activity, man. You was a hell of a nigga. Man, I ain't never looked at nobody and be like, boy, I know that nigga had to be wicked, man. Nigga lost his job. Maybe he just didn't Solomon tell you time and chance happen to everybody? Some stuff ain't because nobody did nothing good or bad. It's just life, nigga. Oh, I know why he got sick. That nigga had to be around here sinning. Damn, he had to be sinning? Nigga get a cancer diagnosis, you trying to find wickedness on the nigga. Man, what the hell wrong with you? Oh, he bedridden and sick. He was so wicked. That's what niggas say. What's wrong with you, man? You got to be crazy. Man, niggas need to stop that. That's what Job's friends were doing. They were accusing the man of sin with no evidence and no sin. Well, you know, the apostles ain't know no better. Because, they did say that, though. Who sinned, this man or his parents? Not really, because, you know, they thought when certain bad things happened to you, it was the penalty for sin. The Lord had told them, ain't nobody sinned. And so the power of God could be known. But see, they weren't looking for an accusation in that instance. But they definitely did say that, though. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, he had to be eating. Man, I'm talking about, well, you got to be a wicked nigga saying nigga got, he had to be eating pork. He was breaking the dietary law because he got gout? Because he got high blood pressure? Oh, he got high blood pressure because he was eating pork chops. Same way you were eating booty, nigga. You ain't telling nobody that. These same niggas that accuse you of something, these niggas around here doing all type of foul stuff. They ain't gonna tell nobody that, though. But they looking for your sin, man. You's a hell of a nigga. You's a hell of a nigga, man. Don't live your life like that, man. That's not a God, man. And on top of that, take the word out to play. You just a whole pussy nigga for that. Let's just take the word out to play. Just real nigga activity. You a real deal buster for that. For real, man. He said, Asa didn't eat unclean foods to my knowledge and got sick. Or Hezekiah. So then Asa whole bowels fell out of his stomach. But also were wicked as hell. You know what I'm talking about? But that's neither here nor there. I understand your point. You know what I'm saying? It said sounds like adding burdens to yourself, overthinking, or as the scribes did with traditions of elders come to mind. I can understand that also. I just don't like stuff like that, man. I never did even before the word, man. I never looked at stuff that happened to somebody and just assumed unless they went to jail. Then I know 9 times out of 10, you probably did something to go to jail. Look at, I told y'all, man, the police killed my homeboy, man. I know this nigga is a gangster. You understand? But I was still deriving on, I know this nigga's behavior to say, you know what? It sounds like they might have not should have shot this nigga. I ain't never known this nigga to come up here to this store with no pistol. It's hot up here. You know what I'm saying? But we got word he might have had one on him. You know what I'm talking about? Does that give that police officer justification for doing that? Hell no. But one thing I do know is my daddy told me long time ago. He say, son, these officers more scared of you than you are them. So I'm already knowing this man's scared. Then if he think your background, you this, that, there, and the third, he doubly scared. Just because that man got a badge on in a utility belt on his waist don't mean he ain't no coward. Hell, I ain't even gonna call him a coward. That mean that man ain't scared. That man human too. He don't know what you finna do. You know what I'm saying? That man don't know what you got on your mind, man. Because, you know, you got some cities, boy, they'll shoot the police. I told y'all last week, man, the biggest thing these white folks fear is the day you niggas fight back. And they always be scared that today is that day. I already know Emma said I want to get home to my family and kids. Absolutely. Like anybody else. I understand it. And I say that because not every police officer gets up every day with the thought process of I'm hunting niggas today. I'm going to kill me a nigga today. It's some that do now. Let's not get it twisted. But the mass majority of them, man, them people just trying to get their pension, man, and retire. And they want to go home to their wife. They got a mistress on the side. You know what I'm saying? They want to see their kids, get drunk, or do whatever it is that they do, man. Dead serious. Dead serious, man. Because you might be scared of them, he's scared of you, and that's a lethal combination when you got two people scared of each other. That means somebody gonna hurt somebody because they operating out of fear. Straight up and down. And 9 times out of 10, his operation out of fear gonna cost you your life. And he gonna get away with it, at least on the natural side of things. He said, my auntie told the other auntie since she switched up her religion to Muslim, she said that could be why she had to get her foot cut off. I said, who? Damn. He said, what kind? Boy, niggas is hell, boy. See, she went over there to that Muslim. See, that's why she had to get the amputation. Whole time, she around here doing X, Y, Z and ABC. But you talking about her being a mother. That's, boy, niggas is hell. You understand me? That's how you know that these are black folks. That's how you know they're black folks in this book. How they were coming at you? That's how you know them were black folks. Because only black folks point out you had to be doing something when something happened to you. That's nigga stuff. Job 8:16. He is green before the sun. His branch shoot forth his garden. His roots are wrapped about the heap and see the place of stones. If he destroy him from his place, then it shall deny him, saying, I've not seen you. Behold, this is the joy of his way. I meant to read verse 13. He says, so are the paths of all that forget God. The hypocrite's hope shall perish. Now I'm in verse 19 again. Behold, the joy of his way. And out of his earth shall others grow. Behold, Elohim will not cast away a perfect man, neither will he help the evildoer. Do you see what Job's friend told him? Job's friend told him, man, God wouldn't cast away a perfect man, so you got to be evil because he don't fool with you. And since all this stuff happened to you and he ain't help you, that means you an evildoer. But that's hell right there, man. This man done lost his kids. He done lost everything he had, and you trying to find fault with him. Come on, man. And again, that's that Tom for perfect, complete, morally innocent, having integrity. He said, you ain't got no integrity, Joe. You flawed. Again, when you hear perfect and you see Tom, because sometimes perfect be Shalem. You know what I'm talking about? But not every time. But a lot of times. You know what I'm talking about? But most of the time it's going to be Tom or Tamaim. Man, you see perfect, man, you should automatically, your mind need to go to having integrity. I hope that any man in your life taught you to be a man of integrity. I know I was taught to be a man of honor and integrity. You know what I'm talking about? Because if you telling me, oh, you ain't perfect, you just told me I don't have no integrity. You just called me. And my mind, man, you just called me an F nigga, man. That's how I took that, and I take that as offense, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, bro, that's you, cuz I ain't no buster. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't no sucker. Speak for yourself, my nigga. You should be offended by that if you know that's not who you is and that's not how you live. Nigga, speak for your goddamn self, ho nigga. Like, straight up. And I done told niggas this before. Like, hey, bro, speak for yourself, bro. Don't disrespect me like that. No, I don't take that kind of no disrespect, cuz. Don't sit here and tell me I ain't got no integrity, cuz. Because if this ain't how I live, bro, I wouldn't be in your face. I told you before, boy, I was in the streets. I wasn't no killer. So I wasn't in the streets acting like no killer. I wasn't perpetrating like no killer. Man, I'm a dope boy, cuz. I just get fresh, sell dope, and smoke weed, cuz. That's what I do, man. I don't even want you niggas women, cuz. I just want the bread. I just want the money and the weed. That's it. I don't want nothing else. I don't want y'all women, because I ain't no killer, cuz. I ain't no, look here, man, leave me alone. But if it's me or you, I'm gonna put your dick in the dirt. If it's me and you, yeah, bro, I want to go home, cuz. Yeah, I want to go home. I ain't tough. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be tough. You got dudes out here who tough for real. No matter how tough you is, there's somebody tougher. No matter how gangster you think you are, it's somebody else who's willing to go a bit further than you is. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no need to walk around here like that. I ain't no tough guy. I don't want to perpetrate as no tough guy. For what? When you ain't got no integrity, you'll be something that you're not. You know what I'm saying? Nah, cuz. Nah, don't disrespect me like that. He said, first verse I recall my dad taught me, a man's word is worth gold. That's right. You know what Scarface told you? All I have in this world is my word and my balls. And I don't break them for no one. Show integrity, man. As a man, as a servant of the living Elohim, you should not let anyone tell you that you don't have integrity because they don't. Again, I respect men that say, hey, I struggle with my sins because I caught up with XYZ. I respect it. What I don't respect is men bombarding men about keep these laws, and you don't keep them. Suck a nigga, when you learn how to keep them, then come holler at me. You know what I'm saying? Because if you smoking crack and I'm smoking crack, you can't help me get off crack because you still smoking it. Get yourself clean, man. Go to rehab, get yourself together, man, and then I can take you more seriously. Because I was taught as a young man, your words got more weight when you live in what you're saying. You know what I'm talking about? That's what my OG told me, man. Your words got more weight when your actions line up with your words, man. Your words ain't got no weight if you don't live that. See, we got to get away from that. Do as I say and not as I do, man. Man, we don't do that. That's nigga stuff, man. You supposed to be a man, cuz. Much less a man of the living Elohim. But you supposed to be, man, what you say, that's what you do. Don't tell people keep the law and you don't keep it. Don't tell people to believe in Yahuwah and you doubting. Get yourself together first, man. Then do that. That's all he meant when he said judge not lest you be judged. Man, get yourself together, man, before you trying to get somebody else right. You ain't got yourself right. Well, you're going to condemn yourself. It's better just to sit down and say nothing. But niggas ain't real enough to sit down and say nothing. Niggas ain't real enough to say, hey, I know we supposed to do X, Y, Z, bro. Hey, my nigga, you know this how we supposed to move, but you know, hey, I'm trying to get my game tight, man, and my mind right. You know what I'm saying? And let me point you to somebody else who can help you with that. That's what men do. You can't help nobody when you ain't helped yourself. That's impossible. That's why the people say I help those that help themselves. If you're not helping yourself, ain't nobody finna help you. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. What we got going on? Yeah, man. Praise Yahuwah, Joseph, man. What we got going on? Like, straight up, man. My OG told me that, man, I'm about 17, 18, maybe. Words got weight when they line up with your actions, man. That's why the book says, spiritual man judgeth all things and is judged by no man, because he that is born of Elohim do not commit sin. He cannot sin. His seed remain in him because he's born of Elohim. What they going to judge you by? That's how it's supposed to be. They don't make you this, that, there, and the third in the eyesight of man. They make you this, that, and the third in the eyesight of Yahuwah. And that's what too many people problem is. You want validation from man versus validation from on high. That's why they argue about the doctrines that they argue about, because they hoping man will agree with it. I don't give a damn if you agree with it or not. If you was correct on something and 1,000 people disagreed and 5 people agreed, just because them 1,000 disagreed, does that make the validity of your information invalid? Now you can't move by the crowd, man. The crowd will get you messed up, man. The crowd is why some of you lost your virginity in your youth. The crowd is why some of you started drinking when you should have been drinking juice instead of alcohol. The crowd is why some of you tried narcotics, whether marijuana or harder narcotics. The crowd is why some of you didn't excel in school like you were supposed to. The crowd is why some of you went after the type of people you went after, because you allowed the validity of people who didn't matter to influence your decision making, instead of being validated on what's just and right, instead of what the group say is right. Can't live your life like that, G. Crowd will lead you down the wrong road, man. I'm trying to tell you. But Job chapter 9, I don't forgot what verse I went. I'm sorry. I don't went on a tangent. I'm sorry. Oh, I just wanted you to see in Job 9 that that's Job talking. Come to Job chapter 10, verse 7. Matter of fact, make it Job 10 and 1. Because it's almost 10 o'clock. Excuse me. Because we had the thing was set up and then the camera went out. So we had to reboot it all the way back up again. I'm going to leave you with the tenet of what this verse talking about, and Yahuwah willing, on the Shabbat, man, will make it all, lay the whole case all the way out plain. My soul is weary, this is Job 10 and 1. My soul is weary of my life. I will leave my complaint upon myself. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say unto Elohim, do not condemn me. Show me wherefore you contend with me. Good unto you that you should oppress, that you should despise the work of your hands, and shine upon the counsel of the wicked. Have you eyes of flesh, or see as man see? Your days as the days of man, or your years as man's days? That you inquire after my iniquity and search after my sin? You know that I am not wicked, and there is none that can deliver out of your hand. Now, you know what? I want you to come over here to Job 31, excuse me. I want you to look at some of the things that Job said in Job 31, because I would be remiss if I did not read such things. Job 31 and 1. And just so you can go back to Job 29, you can know that Job is talking. Actually, Job 31 is the last time Job speaks until Job 42. I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of Elohim from above, inheritance of the Almighty on high? It's not destruction to the wicked and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity. Do he not see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked in, now verse 5 is what we're here for. I want you to hear what he's saying. If I've walked with vanity, or if my foot have hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in the even balance and let Elohim know my integrity. If my step have turned out of the way and my heart walked after my eyes, if any blot have cleaved to my hands, then let me sow and another eat, and let my offspring be rooted out. Let me get this integrity for you in the passage, by the way. See what word we got to use right here. My memory fails me at this time, because I don't think it's Tom that's used right there. It's Tumah, Tau, Meme, and Hay. Innocence, integrity. What verse we in right now? Job 31 and 8. I read that. Verse 9. If my heart has been deceived by a woman, or if I lay that wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind upon another, and let others bow down upon her. For this is a heinous crime. It is iniquity to be punished by the judge. You hear what he told now? You around here posted up trying to sleep with your neighbor's wife? That man said that's a heinous crime. You a no good, dirty bastard for that. Guess what? It's a lot of brews be on that type of time. It's a lot of brews that be on that type of time, plotting on another man's wife. And heinous, just so you know, that is Zimma. That's a wicked, mischievous purpose. You're not chaste. You ain't no good. Nasty nigga. Verse 12. For it is a fire that consumed to destruction and will root out all my increase. If I despise the cause of my manservant or my maidservant when they contend with me, what then shall I do when Elohim rise up? When he visit, what shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? If I withheld the poor from their desire, have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fathers have not eaten thereof. For from my youth he was brought up with me as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I lifted up my hand against the fatherless when I saw help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and my arm be broken from the bone. For the destruction from Elohim was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I made gold my hope, or if I said to find gold, you are my confidence. If I rejoiced because my wealth was great, and because my hand gotten much. If I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart secretly enticed, or my mouth have kissed my hand. This is also an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied Elohim that is above. He's telling you that if he worshiped idols, if he worshiped the creation instead of the creator. If I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or if I lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. If the men of my tabernacle said, not, oh, that we had of his flesh, we could not be satisfied. The stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions as Adam by hiding my iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silence and went not out the door? Oh, that one would hear me. Behold, my desire is that our Almighty would answer me, and that my adversary had written a book. Now that's good right there, right? Now, when you look at Job 32:1, this was Job's transgression. So these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. And that is what being over righteous is. See, in Job's mind, he's going to say this, that he sought to justify him. Well, Elihu was about to say this. Let me find where he tell him that at. Come over here to Job 32. Job 33. I'm sorry, I said 32. My bad. 32:1. I said 32 again. 33:1. Wherefore, Job, I pray you hear my speeches and hearken to all my words. Behold, now I have opened my mouth, my tongue hath spoken in my mouth. My words shall be of the uprightness of my heart. My lips shall utter knowledge clearly. The Ruach of Elohim that have made me, and the breath of the Almighty have given me life. If you could answer me, set your words in order before me and stand up. Behold, I'm according to your wish in Elohim's steed. I'm formed out of the clay. Behold, my terror shall not make you afraid, neither shall my hand be heavy upon you. Surely you have not spoken in my hearing. I've heard the voice of your words saying, I am clean without transgression. I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in my hand. Behold, he find occasions against me. He count me for his enemy. Look at verse 12. Behold, in this you are not just. I will answer you, but Elohim is greater than man. Why do you strive against him? For he give not get account of any of his matters. For Elohim speak once, yea, twice, yet man perceive it not. And then he go to something else I don't want to do with. That's not the one that I want. I'm trying to recall. It's escaping me at this time. Look at verse 7. There we go. Look at verse 4. Job 34:4. Let us choose to us judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am righteous, and Elohim have taken away my judgment. Should I lie against my right? My wound is incurable without transgression. What man is like Job, who drink up scorning like water, which go in company with the workers of iniquity and walk with wicked men? For he has said, it profit a man nothing that he should delight himself with Elohim. See, and of course, this is a natural situation. Now, Job didn't curse Elohim any time, but he certainly sought to justify himself than to justify Yahuwah. That's part of the instances that people don't pay attention to. Where it goes back to, hold on one second, which goes back to what was in Romans 10, which goes back to the difference which is in Leviticus 18 and what it is, and Deuteronomy 30. Is that he was seeking to justify himself because all these things that he went through, he said, hey, I ain't sinned. Why is this happening to me? Which goes back to what's in Romans chapter 4 about, if it be of works, then man have some mean to boast or that he owe you. It's of debt and not of favor and acceptance. You know what I'm talking about? Now, this is not to sit back and look at it. When you look at it from Job's perspective and being a natural man, and these things happening to him, that's quite obvious that he would have that thought process in response. One of the biggest mistakes that most people make is you look at people and you want them to respond based on how you believe you would respond versus sitting back and looking at them from the aspect of where they're coming from and trying to understand, okay, I see how you got there. Because that's what long suffering and the goodness, that's what Exodus 34, 6 and 7 is about. When you look at you, remember he said, I know your frame, you're but dust. You know what I'm saying? You can't sit back and look at, well, I wouldn't have did that. You don't know what you would have did because you wasn't in that position. So you should never talk about what you would or wouldn't have done in something that you've never experienced. Something that you aren't currently going through unless you went through it yourself. Then you should be able to give them the strength to be able to maintain because you know what it's like to go through it because you've been through it. So you could be a strength and an aid to them during that particular time of affliction. See, that's your pride and arrogance that be like, I wouldn't have did that. You a buster. You ain't a friend and the love of God ain't in you. You know what I'm talking about? You Job friends. Don't be Job friends. Please don't be Job friends. Job friends are not the people who you want to be. Because, of course, as you know, at the end of that chapter, man, Yahuwah went off on them boys. Lord willing, I find the verse that I want, man. We need to stop because it's almost 10 o'clock. And, we don't go that late on no Wednesday, man. So we'll say hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. So, matter of fact, look at this here, right? Look at verse 1 of Job 35. This is the other one that I wanted. And there's one more, it's escaping me. But look at Job 35. Elihu spake moreover and said, think you that this to be right, that you said my righteousness is more than God's? For you said, what advantage will it be unto you? And what profit shall I have if I be cleansed from my sin? I will answer you and your companions with you. Look into the heavens and see and behold the clouds, which are higher than you. If you sin, what do you against him? And if your transgressions be multiplied, what do you do unto him? If you be righteous, what give you him? Or what receive he of your hand? Listen to that again. If you be righteous, what give you him? What receive he of your hand? If you kept this man instructions, what you gave him? Huh? Think about that. And again, this goes back to what it started at from Romans 10, which really sparked the whole conversation we had about the Ecclesiastes 7 and 15 in the first place. Because to be over righteous is Deuteronomy 6 and 25. Because you trust in your righteousness, which is keeping this man's instructions, you haven't submitted yourself to Elohim's righteousness, which is Genesis 15 and 6. Abraham believed Yahuwah and he counted to him for righteousness. Or the Deuteronomy 30. It's not in heaven that you got to go get it. It's not in the seas or under the earth that you got to go get it. It's in your mouth. It's in your heart that you may do it. This is the word of faith for which we preach. All this stuff is contained in the first half of the book. This is where this man getting this stuff from. Because see, when you submit yourself to Elohim's righteousness, as we discussed earlier, it's because you have a trust, you have a tikvah, or a hope and expectation, or a batak, a hope and expectation, to receive according to the Amath, the Amunah, or the Aman, the faithfulness and reliability of his word, that he's going to reward you as he has promised. And again, we don't got to go in the New Testament to see that. See, you think that's a New Testament concept. The apostles and Mashiach himself, everything they did was derived of what was already written. But these people don't understand that because, again, as I said, they don't know the word like that. They don't know the word like that. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something, man, and this is true. This is from what I've able to ascertain from my experience. Most people who say I only deal with Genesis to Malachi do not know Genesis to Malachi like that. They only know the spots in Genesis to Malachi that they debate with people who say they believe Matthew to Revelation about. They don't actually submerge themselves in the foundation of the Torah, which they claim. They don't really know it. What I mean is that is when they get pressed into the nuances, into certain things, they don't be knowing it. When we talked to that dude Saturday night, and he started talking about woo, 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 I said, all right, cuz, who's your kinsman redeemer from the grave in Hosea 13 and 14? Which goes to Psalms 49. Who gonna redeem your soul from your brother for corruption, seeing that you can't pay the price and the redemption of his soul is precious? See, one of the usual response is, I know it ain't Jesus. I ain't said it was Jesus, cuz. You said it, so you know it's him, and you just being unbelievable. You doing what the scribes and Pharisees did when he said, man, John, was it from heaven or was it of man? Oh, we can't say. Then you going to hell then. Just know the publicans and harlots getting in before you. See, these people be telling on themselves, but y'all don't be listening. Because I'm not talking to you about him. I didn't mention anybody. I just asked you a question, cuz. Give me your perspective from what you learn, what you teach, what you believe. But they spend their whole time attacking the Lord. They attack the Lord because of John 15 and 24. If I wouldn't have came and did the works that no other man did, they wouldn't have had sin. But now I come and they ain't got no cover for their sin. My God, today. So Job was supposed to shift his focus on the promise and not be so righteous in his sorrow. Yeah, he's supposed to shift his focus on God and justify God instead of saying, man, I've been doing all this, keeping all your instructions and doing this and doing that. This ain't supposed to be happening to me. Because if I would have did all these things, then you should have did this to me. Because he was righteous in his own eyes. And why was he righteous in his own eyes? Because, hey, keeping these laws, this is your righteousness. You know what I'm saying? It's Deuteronomy 6 and 25. That's the righteousness. Deuteronomy 6 and 25 and Leviticus 18 and 5 is the righteousness which is of the law. It's not to say that that righteousness is bad. It's not to say that the law is not supposed to be kept. It's saying that it don't make you righteous before your maker. That's not his righteousness. That's your righteousness. Because Yahuwah is not righteous because he keep the law, because Yahuwah is above the law. He greater than the law. Yahuwah didn't need the law. The law wasn't for Yahuwah because Yahuwah ain't a sinner. You know what I'm talking about? But a lot of brothers have a hard time understanding that Yahuwah ain't flesh and blood. What he need to not eat swine for? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, we're going to look at all that. Job 29, he definitely. But I mean, from his perspective, you could see why he would, because absolutely, Joseph. Because that thought process of leaning on Yahuwah, leaning on his faith at that time, it didn't click in his brain. Why? Because as Galatians 3 tell you, that faith was shut up and revealed till it was time for it to be revealed. Remember that tree of life, man, it had that flaming sword and them cherubims to cover it. Verse 7 again, man. If you be righteous, what give you him? Or what receive he of your hand? Your wickedness may hurt a man as you are, and your righteousness may profit the son of Adam. By reason of the multitude of oppressions, you make the oppressed to cry, and they cry out by reason of the arm of the mighty. But none say, where is Elohim, my maker, who gives songs in the night, who teaches more than the beasts of the earth, and make us wiser than the fowls of heaven. Listen what that man say, man. He said, your righteousness might profit the son of Adam. It ain't no gain to God, though. No, yeah, when you look at it, it's forth as not bound down to another God, but it's still your righteousness, which is of the law. Your righteousness, God's righteousness is believing in him, believing in his word. Shalom, Eric, man. Be easy out here, bro. Let me get on off here, man. At 10 o'clock on the head. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. I appreciate y'all time, man. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua, man. Yahuwah willing, man. We'll pick this up on the Shabbat. Prayerfully, you understood the gist shalom of what we're trying to convey. Well, we're not trying, but what we're conveying. of what it really means to be over right. See, we'll get to being over wicked in a second, because that's a quick conversation. I said, I don't really want to focus on that too long. You know, you could look at the parable of the rich man. Shalom. You could look at the parable of the rich man when he say, thou fool, I'll require your soul tonight. See, being overly wicked, you don't even get a chance to iron that out. He just go ahead and get you out of here. You know what I'm talking about? But when you sit back and you look at being over righteous, why would you make yourself over wise and destroy yourself? You know what I'm saying? It come down to you make yourself desolate and without, because you get lifted up in your mind because you think that you righteous in your own eyes and you think this man owe you. Amen, man. You be safe out here too, man. Love you too, bro. Thank you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's all. That's really what it's pointing to. You know what I'm saying? Is being righteous in your own eyes. And of course, it gives us a deeper delineation. But again, I appreciate y'all. Best shout out to House Elohim in the name of Yahushua and Yahuwah willing, man. To the next. Clubhouse got something. I can suffer y'all for a few moments because wrestling's over with at this point.